and then let me know once you are ready.
I'm ready.
You're ready? Okay. We'll start at the 30-second marker. You see the timer on the top left?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Well, welcome to another episode of the Navigation and Discovery podcast. I have another special guest today, Fraser. Fraser, we connected on social media and really learned his story and thought it was very fascinating and wanted him to really share his story on this podcast. So, Fraser, thank you for taking the time being on the podcast.
Thank you, Cameron, for having me here. It's a pleasure. Always nice to spread the message of positivity and hopefully inspire some listeners today.
Mm-hmm. So, Fraser, we'll start off by take us through your journey on where you started and where you are now, and we'll start at the beginning of your journey.
Sure. So growing up, I had a pretty traditional upbringing. My mum and dad told me, Fraser, if you want to be successful, go to school, get good grades, get a good paying job, because that's what they were told, and that was all they could pass down to me. So I went to school. I did get good grades. I left school, however, when I was 16 because the whole higher education route, it never really inspired me. I didn't know quite what I wanted to do. So I didn't want to put a whole lot more time and years into something that might have not been the right thing for me. So when I was 16, I know I just wanted to earn money, to be honest. I wanted to get out into the field, get some experience and learn more about myself. So my older brother, he's actually a car mechanic. So I followed in his footsteps. I said, I'll be a car mechanic too. Let's see how this goes. So day one, I was thinking to myself, Fraser, what have you done? This is not the right path for you. But before I knew it, the weeks were going by faster and faster, the months, then the years. And I was like, wow, I was looking to my left and my right, Cameron, and it's funny. Most people are pretty scared of the unknown. And I was more scared of the known because I could predict my future. There was guys that I worked beside 20, 30 years in there, and I'm looking around thinking, if I don't change something, I'm going to end up in this same position. So I was always looking for a way out. But the thing about in my environment, there was nobody entrepreneurial, nobody was into business. That's how the other half live. It must be good for them. They were born with a silver spoon in their mouth. This is kind of talk that I was brought up around. So I was told, Fraser, that's life. Get on with it. I was doing quote unquote pretty well in my environment. Around about my friends and my family. I was probably earning more money than everybody I was around. So I thought, Fraser, maybe it's not too bad. But then the evolution of social media, and it can be a blessing and it can be a curse. But what it has definitely done in the last few years is it's put in everybody's face what is really possible in the online space. So I was seeing a lot of people having success, traveling the world, and I thought, this is interesting. How are these people doing this? And I got fascinated with different ways that I could earn money online. And then that was really, brought to the surface and pushed me into it when the whole lockdown situation happened a couple of years ago, because I had all this time in the world. My work has shut down, and I thought, right, this is my opportunity to change. This is my chance. So I did try a lot of things. I got, the shiny object syndrome, as people call it. I was jumping from one thing to the other, buying every online course you can imagine, drop shipping, affiliate marketing, my own marketing agency, coaching. I've done trading. I was really just diving into anything that could give me freedom, that could give me a new result. So one thing that I did really enjoy was the trading aspect. I got into cryptocurrency back in May 2020, and that was really cool. That was my first time ever investing. I read a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which I'm sure a lot of people is familiar with. And in the book, Robert Kiyosaki, the author, he talked about rich people don't work for money, their money works for them. and to buy assets and acquire assets that would produce cash flow, and then use that money to buy any luxuries. And that right there was such a simple concept, but it woke me up. It as if a switch just flicked in my head, and I thought, wow, nobody's ever told me that. Or they may have told me it, but my mind wasn't ready. So my mind was definitely ready at this point because I was hungry for change. So started investing into crypto. As well as doing that, I was trying all these different online businesses and putting myself out there. And 2020 Christmas time came. I actually quit my job. I'd made some money with Bitcoin and things like that. So I didn't know what I was going to do. I knew that wasn't going to be what I wanted to do with my life. It's a nice thing for income, but I wanted more fulfillment. I like to say to people, there's two bank accounts. You've got your financial, but you've also got your fulfillment. So I was like, this is cool, but it's a number. It's a number on a screen. What am I going to be remembered for? What impact am I going to have on the world? So I'd quit my job. I know I was making some money with that, but I was looking still for the right thing that could give me more freedom in life. I was tried the marketing agency. It wasn't really for me. I quite enjoyed different aspects, but I love to travel. I want to do business from my smartphone, and I couldn't build, websites from my smartphone on the beach and things. So I was like, this isn't the one. My ad accounts get shut down on Facebook. I was like, this is not the one. Affiliate marketing wasn't really the one for me. So in this process, there was a lot of doubts as well. I'll be honest. A lot of people like to talk about the successes. I had a lot of doubts, but I think when it comes to, if you're the first one in your environment that's really changing things, then I actually had to feed off. I had to grab onto anything I could for motivation. And all the naysayers, the people around me that said, it's not going to work. How can you talk about going to business? You've never even got a business degree. And I was like, I'm going to put all of this and use it as motivation for first. And it was definitely very challenging because all the doubts that other people were saying to me, my internal voice had these same doubts. But I had to try and block that out because I knew there was no other option. When I have children, I want to pass down a new mindset, new principles to them when it comes to living, when it comes to money. And I knew if I didn't change, nobody in my family was going to do it. So it was all or nothing, really. I think I like to say to people, the easiest place to be is all in. I think when some people are got one foot in, one foot out, then nothing's really going to work. And I think it actually frustrates you more because there's more there, but you're not going for it wholeheartedly. So I was like, I burned the ships. I put myself out there on social media, and basically what I did was I threw my words out there, and my body, had to follow. So I was like, I have to follow through on this now because I'm going to look very silly if I if I quit or if I do anything. So that was not an option. So, but it's definitely not easy because one thing that I had developed, Cameron, which I think I mentioned to you before, as an employee, I was very hardworking. But over time, I saw people, on their phones, just doing things, in the work. And I'm looking around, I'm thinking, they're getting paid the same as me, and I'm doing, say, twice the work. So as an employee, it seems smart. It seemed like a good idea to be like, you know what? Maybe I will just mess around on my phone. I'll go for, little breaks here and there. But as an entrepreneur, you get paid from production, you get paid for producing. So I was like, when I quit my job, I became quite lazy. I'll be honest, for the first month, it was a big shift. I had never met anybody that didn't have a job, that, was their own boss, that had to motivate themselves to get up in the mornings to do the work. And I was like, wow, this is different. This is, I need to be around other people that have this lifestyle that's going to, show me a model, give me a role model to follow. So that's what I did. I turned to social media. I was connecting with people in similar groups and like Facebook and things of that nature that had similar interests, personal growth, investing, money, traveling. And I actually came across somebody who's my mentor now. And as soon as I connected with him, I thought, wow, he's a normal guy, but I can see he's got business all around the world. He's traveling, doing all the things I wanted to do. So I'm a big believer of whoever has your ear has your life, because up until the age of 24, before I quit my job, I gave my ear to my mum and dad, to my boss, to my teachers in school. And no offense to any of them, but I didn't want their lifestyle. So your choice of mentor is your choice of future. So I like to always tell people, we've got to choose wisely when it comes to whoever you're listening to or any information that you're downloading on a daily basis, whether it's watching it, listening to the TV, or anything like that. So I said to him, listen, I don't care what you're doing. I want to be a part of it. I want to, be in a network, a community of people that have the life I want and the results. Because it's the easiest way for me to learn is by observing, being around people with the results that I wanted. So that's what I did. To cut a long story short, I've done that for nearly 2 years now. I have business now all around the world. I have many different streams of income because of the connections that I have made. Because when you surround yourself with wealthy people, you get a little tap in the shoulder. Hey, Fraser, we've got this investment. Put your money in this asset, and it's really, really cool because it takes all the guesswork out of success. Because a lot of the time people doubt, and it's, you still doubt from time to time, but if somebody tells you do X, Y, and Z and they have the results you want, it's like going to a personal trainer, and the personal trainer's an amazing physique, and he says, Cameron, eat X, Y, and Z, train like this. Well, if you follow the plan, you're going to get the results. But I see people that question, really? Eat that? I was like, well, if you want the results, just follow it. So that's all I did. I didn't really question it. I said, listen, let's go. Tell me what to do. Use your head with my body. And that's kind of how my results in my life have changed so much. So now I get to travel the world. Life is really, really good. I got engaged last year to my beautiful fiance. And things have just been getting better and better. But like I say, it wasn't always like that. So I like to be realistic and tell people entrepreneurship is not for everybody. It really isn't. No, because there's going to be a lot of risks involved when it comes to financial. I put myself out in like financial risk a lot of times throughout this journey, and especially when it comes to risk relationships. A lot of relationships, friends, family, even. I had some pretty serious arguments with people and lost some relationships, but it's necessary. If you want to level up, sometimes you have to let go of some people, which is not easy. But if you want to look at the bigger picture, you have to have a strong reason why you're doing it. It can't just be for the money. I don't think there has to be something stronger driving, why you do what you do. So when you do it, it's well worth it. It is well worth it. But just know that you're going to be faced with challenges. But everything that you're growing through is so you can help the next person. Because if you have such a smooth ride to success, then you're not going to be able to help anyone else with it when they're facing adversity. So that is a long answer for your question there, Cameron.
No, that was really good. It was really interesting just listening and hearing your journey and both the struggles and the benefits. One of the things that you mentioned was self-doubt. You had a lot of self-doubt during this I would call it process of transitioning from your work life as a mechanic to actually leaving the workforce and being your own entrepreneur. So how did you deal with self-doubt?
I just knew there was something inside of me. Actually, I was when I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, I read another book at similar time called Think and Grow Rich, which I'm sure everybody's heard of too. And when I read it, I just thought, I'm going to just go all in with this information, just blindly believe it, because if I follow successful people's clues, I believe I'm going to end up in the same place. So I was like, let me just try this information full out and see what happens. Let me put it to the test. And for me, I read another book, and in the book, it gave us an exercise that said, write down the worst case scenario. So all the listeners, this would be a good exercise for you to do. Write down the worst case, the absolute worst case scenario. If you go after your goals and dreams, and I thought to myself, if I quit my job tomorrow, which I really didn't like. So I really did not like being a mechanic. And if I quit tomorrow, in 6 months' time, if I've made zero money, could I just get another job and I might even like that job more? And it just hit me, and I thought, wow, why am I in this same repetitive cycle when my worst case scenario that I can imagine is actually seems a lot better than my situation right now? But a lot of the time, we're so focused on the day, what we're doing through the day, and then we come home and what the activities we get caught up in life, that we don't take a moment to zoom out and look at a situation and think. Most people are not thinking. And when you do that, you can kind of rationalize, okay, well, if I keep doing what I've done for the last 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, I'm going to get the same results. So am I going to be happy with that? Because I believe we're only truly happy when we're making progress in life. So I used to mask my unhappiness with a lot of fun. And I didn't realize it at the time. I used to party at the weekends to forget the Monday to Friday, thinking I was so positive, I was having so much fun. But looking back, I was like, wow, I was actually very unhappy with my life. And I didn't even realize it until I came through that mess.
Mm. And another thing you mentioned, I'll start it up again. Another thing that you found great value in, Fraser, was mentorship.
Mhm.
And so, how has mentorship helped you in this season of life that you're in?
Mentorships help me a lot shortcut the process because I like to use it like different analogies. And I like to think of it as driving a car at night when you have your headlamps on. The GPS is like having a mentor, and you might see 100 feet in front of you with your headlamps, but the GPS is showing you at the end of this road, turn right, at the end of that road, turn left, and you're at your destination. That's kind of what having a mentor is to me. They've been down the road that I want to go down, and they say, Fraser, turn right, turn left. I can't see it, but as I'm driving, it's as if they're the helicopter, flying above and saying, "No, Fraser, I've been down that road to the left. It's a dead end. Go this way. Do this." So it's making sure you choose the right mentor for sure that has results you want. I think success really is a lot simpler than we make it out to be. Choose find somebody with the results you want. Do exactly what they say. That right there is the stumbling point for most people
Hmm.
because we like to filter the information through our belief system, through our paradigm, and then act what we think we should do instead of doing what's required. So that it's been a massive help to me, and also for the support. Just I think we all need accountability. I tried a lot of things myself, and I felt like I was just trying to spin 10 plates at one time instead of getting one spinning and then moving on to the next. So by having accountability with a mentor, it's really helped me just keep my focus locked in on one major thing, and from that has stemmed lots of other things. But it's helped me. It's been priceless.
That's awesome. And I'm sure with transitioning to, your own businesses, making taking back control really of your time and your calendar, and you doing things on your own accord, I'm sure that's benefited you on a personal level. So can you go into that a little bit, aside from, your what you do, in terms of generating your own income, revenue? How has that affected you and impacted you personally?
It's definitely made me so much happier. Like I used to be frustrated having some other man control my time. I'll be honest. As men, we have an ego, and I used to go into work thinking, no, this man's telling me I have to get up at this time in the morning. This is when I'm hungry. This is when I can go home. This is the type of Christmas my family's going to have. This is where I'm going to live. And I was being able to live wherever I want now. Being able to even little things. It's funny because I used to live for the weekend. Now I prefer Monday to Friday because generally the shops, the gym, everything I want to do is a lot quieter Monday to Friday, and then at the weekends everything's so busy because so many people work during the week. So it's gave me more freedom, of course, but it's made things like less stressful if I ever go anywhere, and I'm healthier than I've ever been because I just there's no stress. Things are so much calmer, and it's great because I can go and see my family when I want and things, and it's also it's helped to inspire people that I grew up around and my family and things, which is really cool. That's really why I wanted to do it, for the fulfillment, as well as obviously the income and the freedom that comes with it. But getting to see the impact on other people's lives, it's really really cool, and you don't know who's watching you. So I want to make sure that everybody gets this message, because I'll have people reach out to me which I didn't even know I was friends with on Facebook, and I've been connected for 2 years ago, and
Mm.
they'll reach out like, wow, like I needed to hear that message today, or some random message. I'm like, wow, I didn't even know you followed me. Like, so keep showing up, keep doing what you're doing. Somebody out there needs to hear your message, and you never know who you're going to inspire. And that one person that you can inspire, they can go on and inspire a whole lot more people. So the ripple effect can be incredible.
That's awesome, Fraser. I think people are probably trying to guess your accent. So where are you from? Where do you live? And also, how old are you today?
Apologies, I should have said that in my story. I am Scottish. I'm born in Scotland in the UK. I am 26 years young currently. I'll be 27 in July. And I didn't get started in this whole journey until I was about 24. So it's been a short period of time, 2 years. But the way I looked at it, I gave 8 years of my life to fixing cars. And after 8 years, I still had bondage. So I was like, I don't care if this takes me another 8 years. If it's 8 years to get my freedom, that's a whole lot sooner than never. So when you have that mentality, I think, of how far can I go rather than what can I get, that's when you're going to attract it so much quicker and easier, because you're not focused on planting your seed and then digging it up the next day to see if it's growing. You're just happy about the journey. You keep the destination in mind, of course, but be grateful for the whole journey. So that's something that I'd like to share as well, because so many people think when they come into like entrepreneurship or business, of the what am I going to get like straight away, and when you have that get mentality, you're not going to get as far as if you're focused on contribution. How far can I go? Who am I becoming in the journey? And I think that's been a big key for me as well.
Mm. So yeah, thank you for sharing your story, Fraser. I think I'm learning as well listening to you. I think I've heard pieces and from when we connected over Zoom or phone call, but as we sort of wrap up this podcast, based on your journey thus far, I think you've shared a lot of different lessons for people to learn from your journey. But to kind of put a bow on this conversation is what can people learn from your journey? And they might not necessarily be going on the path that you are, but what are some life lessons that people can take from your experience so far at such a young age? I feel like you've accomplished so much in the last 3 years, and it's pretty impressive what you've done.
I appreciate that, Cameron. Thank you. I would say, a couple of key things is you need to know what you really want. And I never used to know what I really wanted. So I decided I had a vague idea. So I just started taking steps towards that. And it's got clearer over time, but you do need to take steps towards it. Nobody is coming to save you. No, I used to think the life I wanted would be handed to me on a silver platter someday. But after 8 years, I was like, I don't know where this is coming from. So I'm going to have to actually go out there and make moves on what I want. So I would say get clear on what you want, full immersion when it comes to that, as much as possible. Meaning, I was pretty strict with cutting people out of my life that I'm like, listen, if you're going to just keep speaking negatively about what I'm doing, stuff like, I can't actually be around you. You've got to really protect your mind and your energy when you want to change. You can't be around people that's not going to be in harmony with where you want to go in life, which can be one of the biggest obstacles for people, because maybe they grew up around all their friends all their life, or maybe it could be the family, it can be the people closest to you. Some like me and my brother were close again, not as close as we used to be, but when I quit my job, we didn't speak for 6 months. We had a big argument, and it's hard. Most people will give up at that stage, but you've got to keep pushing on. So I think you need to have a strong why. You need to know why you're doing things, and you also need to get more clear on what you want, and then keep dream building. Keep getting around it as much as possible. Like, put yourself in new environments. I went to like the Porsche garage yesterday. I'm sitting in the cars and stuff, and I'm like, let me just keep getting around where my vision's going, because you want to make it normal. Keep planting it into your subconscious mind. Keep listening to audios that's going to keep filling your mind with good information. And then the simplest thing is put yourself around people that have what you want. That's the key right there. That's, if I could give anybody like one bit of advice, it's just get around people that have the results that you want in life. Do exactly what they say.
That's so good, Fraser. I think just sitting here, I've learned a lot just for me personally through this podcast interview. I think there's a lot of folks in their 20s that really need to hear this message, and I think it's often a struggle that oftentimes it takes really a leap of faith to do what you've done, and just like you mentioned, it's a journey that's not easy. It's not butterflies going around. It's you have to put in the grind in order to get to where you are today, and you still have to put in the grind.
Yeah, you definitely got to put the grind in. There's a lot of work. A lot of the times out there, you see a lot of things people selling stuff, and they want to make it look really easy so they can sell their courses and their programs and things like that. But realistically, it's not as easy as people make it out to be. It's really not, but it's so much more worth it. I wouldn't change anything, that I've done. I wouldn't change it for the world, because I think, we're here once. So if you just sacrifice one chapter of your life, might even be 10 years, 5 years, sacrifice that one, and you can live the rest of your life in a whole different situation. And you can also pass that down to the next generations. Like, I don't know who my even great grandparents are, which is a shame, but they didn't leave anything in inheritance for the next generation. So your name's forgotten. So I was like, let me leave an inheritance for my children's children, and let me actually leave an impact on the world. So that these bigger kind of reasons is what's going to carry you forward when you might not see the results straight away. Just focus on getting good instead of keep checking the scoreboard, and the results will come. But I think just being in the right environment, having fun in the process, because listen, you don't want to be stressed constantly. A lot of people when they build business, or if that's whatever they want to do, they're stressed a lot. But when you're in that kind of negative vibration, if you're stressed, you're going to basically resist, putting up all this resistance to the results that you want. So I would say you need to have fun in the process. I have a lot of fun. Even when I wasn't getting the results and I was doubting, I would still have fun. I would, play around in my imagination of the life I want to create. And you need to just embrace the journey. Have a clear destination of where you want to go. Keep stacking as many reasons why you have to do it as possible, and just step out in faith. Faith is an action. I believe faith is an action. You step out in faith. You just do it.
Yeah, yeah, that's so good, Fraser. Well, thank you so much for being open and really opening up about your journey and your story. And I think there's a lot to learn from what you've gone through over the last few years. And hopefully, those listening, you can learn. You had some great takeaways from Fraser's journey and story, and it's a story that continues on, right?
Absolutely. Just getting
Yeah.
started. Just getting
Yep.
started.
Well, thank you so much, Fraser, and all the best. And it was pretty awesome how we initially connected. So it's very good to have you on this podcast. And thanks again for your time.
Thank you very much for having me on here. Thank you to all the listeners for tuning in. I appreciate you, Cameron, and congratulations on all your success as well. And for all these podcast episodes and going forward in the future, I wish you all the best with it and keep inspiring people and keep up the great work.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that.